Greetings, thank you for joining me today. I'd like to do a little speech about remote ID. It's a common theme on YouTube at the moment, and rightly so. In the States, we're seeing very shortly the forced introduction of remote ID for those who operate an unmanned aircraft of some sort. Now, the definition basically takes in quadcopters, small airplanes, model aeroplanes like this one, and things used for commercial purposes, anything where you basically can't ride it on board but you're operating it from a remote device somewhere. And it's a restriction that's going to apply to us all eventually. The whole idea is that nobody who operates a drone of some description is going to be able to operate it without advertising to the world who they are and where they are. And this is all well and good, of course, but of course we know that anyone who's going to do something dodgy is unlikely to advertise who they are and where they are, and they will take steps to mask their identity. But still, there we have it. The rule's been brought in, so anyone who operates a drone over a certain size, I think it's 250 grams, in the States, is going to be forced to use a system to identify who they are and where they are. Now, there aren't many options available at the moment, and they're all expensive. Now, if I'm not expecting you to have gone out and made your own aeroplane and tried the hobby. It's great fun if you want to do it. It's great. It's fun, very wholesome, but it does take time and it does take a lot of patience, and it's not for everyone. But if you go out there and you make yourself a plane and you spend long hours piecing something together, I can guarantee you that unless you're very, very lucky, things are going to go wrong. So you'll take a plane you spent weeks making, you'll take it out to your field, and within a few minutes it's crashed in bits. It's part of the hobby. You just deal with it. But what you don't want to do when you do this, you can take a hit for a couple of pounds worth of electronics. If your battery goes up in smoke, I really wish it wouldn't, but you can take a hit. But the remote ID devices at the moment are expensive, and they weigh something. They have to weigh something. And what you have when you have a plane, particularly, or indeed a quadcopter, is you have centres of gravity, and everything you add to that device makes it harder for the thing to fly. Now, as you can see, this is quite a big plane, and the tolerances are not good. It flies well enough, but I wouldn't want to add too much more weight to it, because, as I say, it affects the centre of gravity. It affects how it performs. There is quite a bit of flexibility within this design to add an extra device, but it has to be powered, and I don't want to. If it goes up in smoke, I don't want to see £50 worth, £100 worth, £200 worth of remote ID board go up with it. And within the States, the idea is that you have a remote ID board for every device that you make. So you might like the aspect of, I just make a plane, that's what I do, that's the hobby. But now the rules mean that if you do that, if you make a valid model, you'd have to buy a remote ID device for every single one of them. You couldn't just buy one and it's just said, it's me flying. No, it's me flying, and this is my plane. This is the whatever it happens to be that you've made. So it adds an awful lot of cost to a hobby which is already under siege by lots of rules and regulations that affect what you can do and where you can do it. Now, remote ID is a test. It's a problem. It's a cost to a relatively small hobby. It's not fair. And I think it's a test because it's a very small step from let's force anyone who owns a drone to mark who they are and where they are. It's a very small step from that to let's look at people who own guns. Let's force everyone who owns a gun to mark every single one of their guns, and whenever they take it out, they identify who they are, where they live, what gun they're operating, how many bullets it's got in it, and all sorts of statistics that might be useful, shall we say. And again, that would be an imposition, wouldn't it? A financial imposition and an imposition on your liberty. Now, in the States, they're very big on liberty, as well they should be, and to be fair, in a lot of other countries as well. also very big on the freedom of the population to do what they want within reason. If you're not hurting anybody, what's the problem? So we should push back against anything that costs us extra money to do something we love. We should push back against unnecessary restrictions and paperwork. We should. No question about it. Because it is a very small step from this to a government turning around and not coming for your guns so much, but putting more and more restrictions on you, more and more costs, more and more stealth taxes on you, until you have no liberty at all. And I picked on guns purely because there's a lot of them in the States, but it could equally apply to tag your children or tag your pets, tag yourself. Do we all want to advertise exactly who we are and where we are? No, I don't think we do. Do we want to go out to the model aircraft field to fly our drones for someone to look up, see a drone in the sky and find out where that operator lives? Because if you do that, now there's not much cost in my drones because I'm cheap and I don't like spending much, and I'm going to appreciate that most of what I make will end up crashed within a few minutes. But a lot of people spend an awful lot more, and it shows that they've got money. So you don't want to tag a drone, you don't want to put it up in the sky and give anybody who might go around and burgle you a good idea of where you live. You don't want that. You don't want to be standing in the middle of a field and for the disgruntled Karens to come and target you because you're doing something fun. No. So we need to push back against this at the moment, which is remote ID on model aircraft, on remotely operated unmanned aircraft. Push back on this. Even if it doesn't affect you directly, push back. Speak to politicians who represent you. If you're in the States, speak to your local senator, is it? Do what you have to do, but get it stopped, get it restricted. Because if you allow for these sort of restrictions to happen, you're green lighting restrictions to happen in other parts of your life. Things that affect you. It's as simple as that. Liberty is important. It should be defended at all costs. Yeah. Well, that's my 2 penneth. I do thank you for listening this far. If you can take the time to like and subscribe, I do appreciate that as well. It does help the channel. But whatever you do, have a good day, and I hope to see you very, very soon. Bye for now.